Chaver, let's start. It's already late. I want to thank the sponsors of today, of the morning. Yesher Koach. Whoever didn't grab something, go grab it now. This is a very important Friday. This is the first Friday of Tafshin Pei Gimel, so we have to make it really, really, really count. Let's sing that nigun from a few months ago that came down Friday morning. Does anyone remember it? Shachar, you remember? Bam ba yam bam ba, bam ba yam bam ba, yam bam ba da dam bam ba, bam ba yam bam ba, bam ba yam bam ba, bam ba yam bam ba, yam bam 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 ba. Oh ya da 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 da. There's so many nigunim I want to sing right now, but there's so much to do, there's so much to learn. Maybe we'll sing one more nigun. One of the ones that hit strong on Yantiv. Dum 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 da da ding la 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 bam 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 ba da dum ba bam bam bo yam bam bam ba da dum ba bam 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 ba bam 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 ba da dum ba ay 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 oh 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 yam mama oh 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 ay la 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 stronger harmony. Deal? I be da kopo ki ata behal beyovin kol yetzor ki ata yetzarto be da kopo ki ata behal Shekayach. Yofi, it's working. All right, again, thank you for the chaver that sponsored the ochel for this morning. She gave us a lot of koch to learn strong. I also want to welcome back, where's Reb David? Reb David is back from Rabbeinu HaKadosh, from Oman. Baruch Hashem, you're back. We missed you, but we know you were a shliach for us, and Reb Chaim that's back also. It's a great, great schus. Please have in mind all the names we've been saying lately for refuah shlema. Continue davening for Yehudit Bat Sarah. Should have a complete refuah b'toch shar cholei Yisrael. I was my heart was cracked like mamish wide open last night by a memorial that I was at in memory of, the truth is, in memory of the zivug who this shul is named after. This shul is named after a zivug, two people called Shira and David. Right? Shirat David is Shira and David. Shira and David Abramson. Harpo and his wife. 10 years ago, I think yesterday, Nebuch, Shira, was killed in a car accident on the what's that? Shira was killed in the car accident on the Kvish Yerushalayim Tkoa. If you'll see, when you drive on the road from Yerushalayim to Tkoa, the first kikar, once you get up on top over there, one of his sons, Yehuda, proposed to his wife, Karen, who I'm actually kind of related to through my brother-in-law, Hanekman, and he proposed to her right there where she was killed at that kikar, and he called it Shirat. The kikar is called Shirat David, actually. It's very emotional. 2 years prior to that, I try to speak about this every year, first night Yantiv. The night before Sukkot, Harpo had a heart attack and was nifter. And Baruch Hashem, I was very, very close to Harpo. He was my chevrusa. We learned Mishnah Torah together. We learned Rambam together for a while. It was very mashpia on me. And I said something last night at this memorial that struck me while they were showing video clips of him. And you all know him. Well, you know basically this song of his. You know a lot of his songs because I sing it like my favorite song of his is. I told him once that when I learned it, that he wrote it for me because it's the Birkas Kohanim. Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha Ya'er Hashem panav elecha v'yichuneka Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. That was the first cool guitar riff that I heard in a Jewish song, and I was so disappointed when he then revealed to me that he basically completely stole it from Crosby, Stills and Nash. If you smile at me, I will understand. It's the same thing of wooden ships, but it doesn't matter. Malim b'kodesh. But you all know. Alpayim shana ani nodeh. That's Harpo also. One of the most famous songs of the last 2 decades, I think, at least. And I think that till Mashiach comes, that's going to be Avat Yisrael B'Neshama. So I was thinking about this last night, that when I met him, I was 15, I thought he was the coolest chassid I ever met in my life. But as I got to know him a little bit, at a young age, 17, 18, I started spending more time with him. I realized he's actually one of the most serious chassidim. He was mamish a chassid. And I got a lot from him, the roots of taking on chassidus, that it's a serious thing. It's mamash an avoda, it's a serious thing. It's not just, let's have fun, b'chulei. It's an avoda. I got that from him. So I want to dedicate the learning this morning, le'ilui nishmata ve'le'ilui nishmato, to both of them. And they should be melitze yosher for us. They had a sign when you walked into their house. The sign was, Elu abrachot she'omrim k'shemekablim pnei Mashiach tzidkeinu. The list of the brachas you say when Mashiach comes on the door of their house. You hear all the stories. The Chafetz Chaim had a suitcase ready. All these stories. There are Yidden that are still alive in our door that lived with that consciousness. Halvai should come down to us as well, this consciousness and this tzipiyah, the Yeshua as a real and active thing in our lives. It should be in their schus of Shira and David Abramson. All right, so we'll open up, please, page Ayin. We're going to finish this gorgeous parak today. Maybe we won't, actually. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. We're going to finish this. We'll try to finish this gorgeous parak today. It's just 3 stories to finish the parak. And, this is something that I'm sure many of us have discussed. You've discussed it with other people, not just in Efrat. They love to call it an Efrat youth. It's everywhere youth. Where parents are wondering, how do I get my kids into Shabbos? My kids aren't into Shabbos. This is basically, you know this already. You probably get it also. Again. Thank you. Kimat every week. That's like the main thing. The main thing is, my kids aren't into Shabbos. How do I get them into Shabbos? My first question is always, are you into Shabbos? Obviously. What's your Shabbos table like? Talking about your kids as well. Let's love your kids for a second. Are you into Shabbos? So I got a lot of chizuk. On Rosh Hashanah, second day. Someone came up to me before Mincha while David Yeshua Orenstein was Kabe Shofar Gadol, was blowing the shofar. And some guy came there, I shared it with some of the chevra. He said, I get what you guys are here. You're a bunch of balabatim who get excited like yeshiva bachers. That's what you had to do. I said, wow, mission statement. That's like such a perfect. You're a bunch of balabatim that get excited like yeshiva bachers.
My friends from my Haredi friends say that we're flipping out.
At this age,
yeah.
Baruch Hashem, halavai. So I think that with that in mind, I want us to look at today, because today Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter is going to help us. How do you talk to your children about Shabbos? How do you talk to anyone about Shabbos? And how do you talk to that nekuda in us, Chalila, or other people that's not there, that wishes they felt it? That's what we've been talking about, wishing we could feel it. What do you do when you can't feel it? But how do you talk to someone it's not working? How do you talk? And we have to have it's a new year. It's a new way of speaking about Shabbos. It's a new way of living Shabbos. It's the first Shabbos of the year. We had a Gevaldik shir yesterday with the women on Reb Tzadok, on Shabbos Shuvah. We were speaking about Reb Tzadok's approach to what is this Shabbos all about. So it's in the air to take advantage of it. Big time. So go into Daf Ayin, the left column. כדי שיצליח האדם להסגבר על פיתוי היצר, עליו להכיר בחשיבות עשייתו בדברים שבקדושה. You're so worried about overcoming the Yetzer. That's a beautiful thing to have your whole Yiddishkeit to be so makbid on Sur Mirah. Rav Kluger once taught us, the Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov was, okay, Sur Mirah, sometimes when I get so stuck into Sur Mirah, into making sure that I'm just refraining from doing bad, what ends up happening? I never get to the Aseh Tov. I'm just think until I figured out Sur Mirah, who figures out Sur Mirah? So just speaking about what you shouldn't do will never get you to the place of thinking about how good it is what I actually do. So he says like this, you have to be makir b'chashivus asiyasa b'dvarim shebekdusha. When you do a mitzvah, think about it. Invite the consciousness of right now, I'm doing something holy. That's why by Chassidim, every other bracha is l'shem yichud, hareini mekabel, hareini mezamen. What does it mean? Hareini, here I am doing this. Why? Because how many times do we rattle off brachas? How many times did you guys say the word you this morning while you were talking to God? Be'erech. 40, 50? Probably about between 40 and 50 times this morning we said the word you to God. What reshimu does that have on me? If I was conscious of every time I said you to Hashem, I would have such a simcha and focus on the dvarim shebekdusha that I do. You know what would end up happening? The Sur Mirah would be much easier. It'd be so much easier. And that's in a nutshell, this is how we've seen by some of the tzaddikim, they've explained the whole Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov coming from that way. Saying we've seen Yiddishkeit for hundreds of years, those that are going to pound out the Sur Mirah, they get stuck. And even if they become clean, holy tzaddikim, they never had a reshimu, They never had an impression of the Va'asei Tov. And then what ends up happening? Next generation have no interest in a Yiddishkeit like that. Nothing's changed. It's the same situation today too. Same exact thing. Ubechach, fourth line, you have to think about Hashem Yitbarach yesh lo nachat ruach meruba memasav. Now don't let it get to you so much on a gaiva level, but understand something. The fact that you chose to come to daven this morning, you davened in a minyan. You said Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba. You said Slichas. You put on tefillin. You put on talis. You just said brachas on food. You're learning Torah. Get ready for Shabbos. Ze achshav, ma she'anachnu osim, noten nachat laHashem. We always talk about, the greatest thing a parent could have is they have nachas. Stop for a second. Acknowledge your Fridays have become nachas givers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Think about that. But it's not just Fridays. This should be like this every single day, that you don't just do the right thing. You think about the fact that you're doing the right thing. You spend a little bit more than just running to the next thing. You think about it. You invite that consciousness into your life. You're doing the right thing. You're giving nachas to Hashem. V'siper li, so Rav Yaakov Meir says something beautiful now. V'siper li adam echad ki pam achas nis'archa b'vesel b'Shabbos isha bala semuna. He said one time a person came to him and said he was hosting a woman that had emuna. Ela shekarbe mi bnei dorenu lo zachta ladat ad kama yekara hi hachashivut shel kol hitgabrut vehimanut me'asiyat avera. But like many in our generation, she didn't merit to know how precious and valuable and important it is whenever you overcome an avera. They never thought about that. Like I told you once, I have a good friend that he told me once something so amazing. He doesn't even know how much of hashpah it had on me. That every time that he knows he can look at a beautiful woman and he doesn't, his wife becomes more beautiful to him. Pashut. Every time we refrain from doing something that we shouldn't be doing, what we can do becomes a million times more precious and valuable in our eyes. Consciousness, pashut meod. It's the footsteps, the yesod of everything. This woman, she had emuna, but she didn't know how valuable it was. If it made any difference, really, the fact that you overcome an obstacle. V'ad kama chashuv b'shamayim kol asay tov, and how important it is in shamayim every asay tov that you do. Ulefi re'us einea. Look, I just showed you that you guys said the word you to Hashem 50 times. And it's not your fault. This is just the way we're programmed. It's part of the program. It's the Yitzhahara getting us so good. We said the word you to Hashem 50 times this morning. We blessed you. What should that do to us? What could that do to us? The Yitzhahara doesn't want us to be aware of the fact that we're giving Hashem nachas. Pashut. He doesn't want us to have any sense of giving nachas. Because more or less, living a life of conscious Yiddishkeit, acknowledging that I'm giving nachas to Hashem, game over, other side. Let me run to the next daf, let me run to the next shir. We're not even talking about bad things, talking about good things. Let me run to the next thing I have to mashlim. So this woman comes to this person's house, Balas Emuna, but it's a yidla that doesn't really, she never thought about the fact that when I do v'n asay tov, it does something. It has a rishimu. Ulefi re'us einea, we're about 8 lines from the bottom. Chashva sheporek ol chai chayim meusharim yoter, umabetza b'chayei yahadut rachmana litzlan. She came to the conclusion that said, since she doesn't really think about how much satisfaction she's giving Hashem, or that she has, when she refrains from something bad, she looked at the Pirek Olnikim. That means Chevra that were said, the beach on Shabbos morning is much more menucha than going to shul. I once had a shaila, I couldn't believe this. It was someone so serious. Someone said to me, listen, I know Hashem wants Oinek Shabbos, and I know that where I live, it was a college campus, there's nothing around me that gives me any Oinek Shabbos. But I know that if I program, you could see how many years ago it was, if I program my VCR somehow to go on, I wonder if any chevra in here don't even know what a VCR is. Ben? You know what you don't know? Unbelievable. Shouldn't ask those questions. It makes me feel old. I'm trying to do something cute and I feel so old when I do that. So he said, I know, she said to me, I know if I program before Shabbos a VHS, right? We're getting very technically, a VHS cassette, a video cassette, into the machshir, into the VCR, I know that if I programmed to watch a certain movie that my father would watch with me when I was a little girl, and I felt so protected and loved, and that's what I did on Friday night, instead of what everyone else here is doing, I won't be Mechal Shabbos at all, because I'll program it exactly right. There's no, she said to me, there's no Maris Ayin, because I live alone, I have my own dorm, and I'll keep it on very low, but it'll bring me a place of oneg, of safety, right? What's wrong with that? Obviously, there's 500 million things wrong with that, but it's also the holiest shayla in the world of a person that wants to taste oneg Shabbos. And I said to her, this is like 20 years ago, I said, I have no idea how much you touched my heart. She thought I was kidding. I was like, no, I'm being serious. Oneg Shabbos, the safety of Shabbos, this place of, you look at everyone else, they're done. Friday night college campuses, come on, please, right? So this woman, she had emunah, but she never gave any chashivas to the good stuff that she did. So at a certain point, she came to the conclusion in her life, I'm done with this. She came to someone's house for Shabbos. Now look what happens here. Ulachar seuda amra ki bechefza rachmana litzlan le'ashen tzigar. She said, you know, it's Friday night. It was a great meal. Thank you. I'm going to go out to the porch. Talking about Harpo. I'm going to go out to the porch for a cigarette, right? וגם כשנאמר לה כי הדבר אסור, even when she was told it's asur, לא הועיל היות והתנצלה כי מרגישה שהיא חייבת ממש לעשן. She said, listen, you do what you got to do. I got to have a shmef right now. I got to have a smoke right now. ואינה יכולה להתגבר. I can't overcome this. ובסייעתא דשמיא אמר לה אותו אדם דברים אשר נתיישבו על ליבה כראוי. Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter says, the person that came and told me the story that happened to him in his house, he said he had tremendous siyat dishmaya, and he told the woman the following. And I want you to think of this whenever you need to talk to your children, other people's children, or to yourself. Think of the way that he approached this. This is Gewalt. Hala b'yela b'derech mashal. He brings a parable. He said to her like this: Ki lu yitzuyar shehi nimtzet b'cheder levada, ve'ima nimtza rak Hashem yitbarach. Umilvadam en sham af echad. He said to her, I want you to imagine that right now you're in a room, and with you is only Hashem, and there's no one else in the room with it besides you guys. V'hine poneh ele Hashem yitbarach kivyachol, umevakesh mimena tzigar. And Hashem yitbarach is coming to her and saying, can I please have the cigarette that you have? V'yesh la rak cigar echad, and she only has one cigarette. Ma taseh az? What are you going to do? האם תיתן סיגריה זה להשם יתברך, הגם שתישאר בלא סיגר בעבורה? או שתתנצל ותאמר להשם יתברך, שהיות וזה לסיגריה האחרון שברשותה, לכך משאירה זאת אצלה. The question is, are you going to say, sure Hashem, you can have this cigarette? Or would you say, listen, I'm sorry, I love you, but it's my last smoke, and you know, I'm going to keep it by me. So she said, Anta ha'isha, this woman, shebepnimiuta hayta ba'alat emuna, ka'amur, who inside she had emuna. And it's amazing that this story keeps on reminding us, this woman that wanted to smoke on Friday night, this is a woman that had emuna. Also, I got a lot of chizuk from Rav Tzaidi's beautiful divrei Torah that he gave between Mincha and Marav on the second day, where he basically was screaming in the name of basically every single one he quoted, between Rav Kook, the Rambam, Baal Shem, and everyone, that everyone is going to do tshuva one day. Everyone is going to. Why? Because everyone is a ma'amin, ben ma'amin inside. So this woman who was a ma'amina, she said like this. She answered ve'amra behitrakshut, and she said with hitrakshut, with emotion, ki bevadai tevater al ta'avata v'titen le'Hashem yitbarach gam et hasigarya ha'achrona sheyesh la. He said, of course, I'm gonna let go of my taiva, and I'm gonna give to Hashem this last cigarette that I have. Amar laha me'areach, her host said to her like this, shegam ka'et b'Shabbos kodesh zu, כשחפצה לעשן רחמנא ליצלן, והשם יתברך הוא זה שמונעה מכך, הרי זה כאילו מבקש ממנה סיגריה זה, ובזה שלא תעשן אותו, עד לאחר השבת, מחמס מצווה סבור לברוך הוא, הרי זה כאילו שנתנה לו את הסיגריה. So he said to her like this, listen, my dear guest, right now in Shabbos Kodesh, I know you want to smoke right now. And Hashem is the one that's preventing you from smoking. Why? Because what does it say in the Torah? Lo sevaru eish b'chol ma shvasechem. That's it. Hashem is the one that's preventing you from smoking right now. So he says, it's as if Hashem is saying, can I have that cigarette instead of you? It's just the way you frame it. It's just the way you know, Yiddishkeit. It's packaging. Rav Shlomo used to say, God has the worst PR in the world. Yiddishkeit has till a few years, it had the worst PR in the world. It's just a matter of how you frame it, of how you approach it, how you present it. So he says to her, the fact that if you don't smoke right now till after Shabbos, I know doctors, he said, I know where you're going, but let's just start with not smoking on Shabbos, then we'll get to not smoking at all. So he says, by you not smoking this till after Shabbos because Hashem said you shouldn't, you have to imagine it that really you're giving Hashem the cigarette. You're saying here, you're giving it to Hashem. Umadua ka'et lo titen lo et hamatana hazot. So why don't you just give Hashem this gift right now? Diburim elu nichnesu v'nitkablu b'mocha. This type of talking, it entered into her head, into her heart. Ubaruch Hashem itzlicha litgaber retzona lechalel et Shabbat, and she was privileged to overcome this ratzon to be mechal Shabbos. Now, there's a hanachat yesod over here. And that's a hanachat yesod. How do you say that in English? You say hanachat yesod. There's a fundamental assumption that without having this fundamental assumption, it's not that it won't work. You won't know how to talk to someone like that. When you look at a Jew, you have to believe they want to do the ratzon of Hashem right now. Simple. Every Yid, they want to do the ratzon of Hashem right now. Why? Because they have a piece of Hashem in them. They have a chelek. They are a chelek eloka mima'al mamash. They want to do this. If you don't believe they want to do this, that they want to actually do the right thing, no vort, no scaring, no fear, no nothing in the world. No happy Simcha Dika minion will turn that on. Unless you believe that inside they want to keep Shabbos, they want to do what Hashem wants of them to do. But it's all a matter of the packaging. It's all a matter of the packaging. And listen, to each kid, to each person, to each adult, you have to kind of, readjust this mashal. Because it won't work exactly, for each person the same way. But if you don't believe deep down inside that that they want to obey the commandment of lo tevaru esh b'chol moshvotechem b'yom haShabbat. No, not to start a fire in any places of your dwellings on Shabbos. It's like this with every one of the mitzvahs, but Shabbos is the os. Beinu v'en b'nei Yisrael osi la'olam. So therefore, it's an important inyan for us on this first Shabbos of the year. It's already late, Chaim. I'm sorry. I have to stop now. It's already late. It's a very important yesod in the first Shabbos of the year, of the Kabbalah of Shabbos that we're going into right now, that we have to beg Hashem, whether we have to do this lemaisa now in life, or we'll have to do it in 5 years from now. We chose to bring children into a world that's meshuga legamre. And I want to say something a little bit charif. We chose to raise our children here. Be achrai. Be responsible. Not here because here is different than everywhere else. It's not. It's actually not. That's the Satan that comes and tries to mess around with the name of our holy Yishuv. It's the door. It's the generation. It's the generation that has no idea how to bless you, to take out from in here to the outside of what they're feeling inside, and they're looking for people. And Rav Kook wrote to his son, Reb Tzvi Yehuda HaKohen Kook, I've told you this so many times. He wrote him in a letter, he said, you're going to meet a lot of people that seems like they're not into Yiddishkeit, but it's only because they're waiting for a Baal Shem Tov to come and talk to them about God. And, and that's why our game has to just be up our own experience of all these inyanim for our children's sake. Whatever worked for our last door, no chance it's going to work for this door. En sikui. It doesn't, none of it. Not mamash, none of the way of how you explain to someone today, it's a different language, and the language keeps on changing, keeps on progressing. Don't be so scared. Hashem believes in us. If He didn't believe in us to figure out what the language is in this door, He wouldn't give us holy children. He wouldn't say, hey, I'm going to give you children, but you don't have a chance of turning them on to Shabbos because the world is too frightening. Okay, well, that's blasphemy. It's mamish blasphemy. So obviously, this stuff I'm saying, it's dvarim shebechol yom. It's dvarim shebechol yom, bechol yisrael, bechol shah. I was very, moved yesterday. Someone, on Yantiv, we said something of it like this. The second day of Yantiv, we were focusing more on the word Malkeinu or Avinu. Let's see who was awake during the drasha. Avinu. So Avinu, we're focusing more on the Avinu aspect. A melech, when he sees someone going off, he says, they're out. And Abba sees a child going off. A real Abba says, I didn't give over to them proper enough. So, in this first Shabbos of the year, we become achra'im. And taking achrayus, these days, literally means with b'chol lev, b'chol nefesh, ribbono shel olam, unless you are reminding me all the time what a schus it is to bring you moments of nachas, and that becomes the way that I serve Hashem, then en li sikui. A beautiful yid called me, a broken yid, Nebuch, divorced, about tshuva. His divorce doesn't live here. Maybe he's going to move to the community one day. And when they got divorced, he stayed in Yiddishkeit, and his ex, usually I say not so much, not so very much, okay? Bunch of kids, what are they going to do? The kids are asking me, driving me crazy. I want my phone on Shabbos. Why are you telling me I can't have my phone? Why are you punishing me? Why are you punishing me? What am I supposed to do? He calls me. I said to him, first of all, why in the world do you think I know what you should do? That's Aleph. Which is what I feel like saying half the time. Like, why in the world do you actually think that I know what to tell you? Right? But I don't say that, and there's a voda to do. Beis is that he says to me like this. I say to him like this. Beis is that he said. I say to him, listen. The moment when you're with your children, when they're by you and they're not by their mom, what do they see? What type of a Jew do they see? I'm trying to tell them about Shabbos and the importance of it. It's like, drop it. What do they see when they see their father putting on tefillin? Are you happy or are you sad? What do you look like when you're engaging in Avodat Hashem? Literally, what do you look like? What do you look like? He says, I look like the saddest. And then he said another word, which I'm not going to say. And he said, I look like the most nebuch of all nebuchs. Even for me, it's almost impossible these days. I was like, so brother, Mata would say, what do you want? What do you want? So this avoda, this is a pnimi, this is a thing that is going through thick and thin through all of our avoda, the whole way we approach Yiddishkeit. I just hope that we have enough guts to take our time with the consciousness of the nachas moments we're giving the Ribbono Shel Olam and progress from there. Every single tefillah, just stop for a second and say, I just said the word you 50 times. What is that going to do to my day today? I'm going to go back home. I'm going to have hachanot for Shabbat. Give me a lot of preparations for Shabbos. It can get me really stressed. Or my children can see me with a smile on a Friday afternoon, and I gave them more Yiddishkeit with having a smile on a Friday afternoon than 30 Siyum Mishnayos that I force my kid to do, because that's what good Jewish kids do. This is the door. And we're up for the challenge. We are up for this challenge. Baruch Hashem, we're up for it. This is our Tzivos Hashem. This is our inyan. This is our whole focus for the year. And we should do it with simcha and with confidence, with bitachon, that this is something we're up for. Dibu chaverim, hiskaskus chaverim, sichas chaverim, all the good things that Hashem has given us to take advantage of it. So Be'ezer Hashem, when someone comes to our house one Friday night and they say, I want to go for a smoke, don't start going right away to the whole thing, I don't want to make someone feel uncomfortable, like many of us do. Just let live. And what's the language? Live and let live, right? That's such a sneaky comment, right? It's such a sneaky statement. Because how does the liberal world take that comment? Live and let live, as if their life is called living. A Yid says, live and let live. I'm going to give you a chance to really feel alive. So I'm going to sprinkle on you some asay tov energy that you have inside of you, and I'm going to let you really live. I'm going to let you really live. So live and let live. We'll do a tikkun for that statement, Bezrat Hashem, and have ourselves a Shabbos like we never had before in our lives. It's Shabbos, Shekoyach, everyone.